Hey guys, it's Kelly here with another tutorial for you. I'm going to try to give you my little rendition of the Little Hearts blanket, or Sweetheart Ripple, some people call it. Typically this blanket is done in a single crochet primarily, and I hate single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my adaptation to double and treble. All right. So as you can see, you've got your little hearts. So let's go ahead and get started. Put that away. I went ahead and I chained 26 for this project. What the pattern reads is something to the extent of multiples of 13 plus 12. Well, I don't know about all of that. But what I do is just kind of chain out until I think it's about long enough, and then I do a little bit more because I can always pull chains out. You can technically add chains, but it looks really stupid because you have to twist the chain to add it, and I'm not all about that life. So anyway, we're going to start this. It's a pretty easy pattern once you get the flow of it. There's only really one row that differs from the rest of the rows, and that is the crossover rows. So as long as you get the rest of the rows down, it's pretty simple to remember. All right, so we are going to double crochet into the third chain from the hook to start. This counts as number 1, and we're going to do 4 more. 2, 3, 4. So we should have a grand total of 5 when we're done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're going to do 3 double crochets in this chain. 1, 2, and 3. This is our peak. Please excuse the dog snoring in the background. She's angry with me because I cleaned out her ear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then for our valley, we're going to skip 2. 1, 2, we'll do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got our peak again. 1, 2, 3 in the peak, and then we're going to do 5 to end it. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's what your row number 1 should look like. Row number 2, we're going to chain up 2 using the same color. Flip it around, and we're going to do a double crochet decrease. 1, 2. This kind of shifts the row so that we're able to use the first of the 3 cluster as our last 5 stitch so that it stays even All right, so that double decrease counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're to the peak. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. So now we're working our way back down to the valley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which leaves us with our last 2 before we got to our skip 2. So we're going to skip those 2 just like the last time. Work our way back up towards the peak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at the peak, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3 into the peak, and then back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do our decrease, so our double decrease as number 5. Now before we pull all the way through our double decrease, we are now going to change our colors. Let's see if I can get that color on here. We've got Hot Rose by Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. The lighter pink is just called Pink, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so now we have finished our double decrease and added our new color. So go ahead and stitch up 2 chains, and then we're going to do the same thing. Double decrease, so that was 1, 2 stitches, 3, 4, 5, which lands us in the top of the peak. We're going to do 3 double crochets in the top of the peak. 2, 3. So we're going to work our way back down towards the valley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at our hole, so go ahead and skip 2 to keep the hole. Double crochet 5, just like last time. Very repetitive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at the top of our peak. Gonna do 3 double crochets just like last time. 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna go back down towards the end. 1, fix that little overlap there. There we go. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and our double decrease is 5. Keeping the same color. Go ahead and chain 2. Do it all again. Double decrease counts as 1. Double crochet. Double crochet. Double crochet. And double crochet for a total of 5. Then we're back at the top of our number 3 peak. We're gonna do 3 just like the last time. 1, 2, 3, and then we're working our way back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our hole, so skip 2. Work our way back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're back to our peak. 1, 2, 3 in the peak, and then working our way back down to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, and our double decrease is 5. Now don't pull all the way through the double decrease, because here is the time where we're going to change our yarn and carry it on up. This is the different row. So pay close attention. It's really not as hard as it looks. 2 chains to build up to the next row. We're going to start the same way. We're going to do our double decrease. Do 1 double crochet. Now here's where it gets kind of tricky. You're going to loop twice around your hook for your treble. So now what you're looking for is to go back to the previous pink row. Not the hot rose, but pink. Front post, treble crochet into the first of the 3 clusters that we always do on the tops of our peaks, and pull through. We're going to do that one more time, except we're going to do that into the top or the middle stitch. Still going to front post treble crochet, pull it on up through, and then we are going to pretend that these 2 trebles are taking the place of these next 2 stitches in line. So ignore those 2 stitches and carry on. You should be again to your cluster of your last row on the first stitch. We're going to double crochet 1, and then now we're at the top again. So at the peak, we're going to do our normal 3 double crochets. And because we love symmetry in crochet, we're going to do 1 double crochet next to the cluster, and then we're going to now do the back side. So what I like to do in preparation is make sure that the treble is pulled down on the stitch. So slide it all the way down. I'm going to wrap around twice. We're going to find that middle stitch. So the last one that we pulled through, we're going to share that same stitch, okay? Go around it, but we're going to go just a little bit above it, okay? You don't want to entangle the other front post treble. So you should have something that looks like that. You're pulling the same stitch in 2 different directions. We're going to do one more of those, but this time we're going to use little number 3 of our cluster from that previous pink row. So that should look like that. So again, we're going to pretend that we used those 2 stitches. These 2 stitches here take the place of those 2. You do not need to do anything with them. So we're going to double crochet. See how these 2 meet up? They're partners. So we're going to double crochet and double crochet. So now we're to our valley, and like always, we're going to skip our 2 valley stitches. Do a double crochet, double crochet, and we're back to doing our little peak. So find this guy here from a couple rows down, 3 to be exact, wrap around twice, find first of 3, front post, treble crochet, wrap around twice, find second of the 3 clusters that we do on our peak, skip the 2 adjacent stitches because we already took their place, so 1 and 2, skip them, and then we're going to double crochet. This will also line up with your previous row's 3 cluster. Now we're to the top stitch. We're going to do like we always do and put our 3 double crochets into our cluster there. Next stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then we're going to get ready with our front post again. And remember, like I said, make sure that the previous guy is down on the bottom. So go to that same stitch we left off on, which is the middle peak stitch from previously. Do our front post treble crochet, and then we're going to do that same thing on the last of the 3 clusters, okay? Hopefully this makes sense. And remember, these 2 stitches we just put in match up with these 2 stitches. We're going to leave them alone. Skip those 2, double crochet, and to end, double decrease. Using the same color, we are going to do this row just like we did every other row, except for the first one, of course, that never quite adds up to anything, but we're going to chain up 2, flip it around, double decrease, just like our other rows. Now find those little floating stitches that are in limbo there. Double crochet. So this will be number 2 because our double decrease counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're to the top of our cluster. We're going to do 3, just like every other time. Then we're going to make our way back down into the valley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're back to our valley where the hole lives, so we're going to skip those 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Back to the top of our 3 peaks there. I'm going to do our 3. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Work our way back down to the end there. 1. This looks a little funny, but there's the right number. 2, 3, 4, and your double decrease is number 5. So now this would be the time where you switch the colors. And then the bright pink row, oops, 2 chains only, is going to be the same every time. So the only time you're going to have a funny row is from now on. Let's get a little closer. There we go. The only time you're going to have a funny row, as I like to call it, is your first row of light pink. That will be the one with your front post treble crochet. Every other row is the same. They're all the same. Okay? The only difference is the first row of pink, light pink. And if you want your hearts to really pop, I always suggest using the lightest color first for your foundation row, because this is where you're going to pop. Right here, right here. Okay? So that is that tutorial. And as you keep on working, you'll have the same kind of thing going on. So I put these two together, but that is what your final product will end like. And it's beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned something. If you have any questions or suggestions in your opinions for me, go ahead and leave a comment. Otherwise, let me know if you like this tutorial. I don't do too many, but I like to help people out when I can. All right, I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and we'll see you next time.